So my name is Nicholas Gentile and I am the director of Unsealed, the musical theatre showcase for 2024. So my background is as a freelance musician. I started my career, the first decade of my career was in musicals, commercial musicals and some concerts. Lately though, the last few years, I've been moving more into the education space and the space of a music director, conductor and orchestrator. So when we're starting this process of putting together a showcase, we start by collating a bunch of repertoire from all of the eras of musical theatre. So the students have been working on that throughout the entire year. So we're at an advantage at the start of the semester by having a huge catalogue of material that really suits the student. So I start with a deep analysis of the script and the song selections. And what we're looking for are the common themes, character arcs, emotional resonance, and the intentions of the writers and composers. And once we have a really good understanding, and they have a good understanding of what the work is, we then start thinking about the overall tone of the production itself. They wrote a handful of moments, some really special moments. We have one which is just the moment before Sunday, where a few of the students were tasked with going and writing different monologues, and we kind of collated them together into what you'll see in that piece, which is lovely. But a lot of the script material comes from script portions of scene work from musicals, so that the students get the experience of going from scene into song, just as you would in a musical. And then we jump straight into rehearsals and bringing those pieces to life and finding the narrative threads that connects the showcase. And so the theme of this show is really about revealing secrets that we'd rather keep concealed. Musicalization of those stories is a great tool because the whole point of singing a song, the currency between the audience and the performer, is empathy. We have this shared experience by keeping secrets, and so finding a vessel to be able to express that through song is kind of what this showcase is all about. So that's been a wonderful experience. Some of the funnest days have actually been in the lead up in these production weeks, the last 2 weeks leading up to the showcase, because that was the first time I really had an opportunity to be in the same room with the student body and the choreographer and an accompanist. So when you have an environment like that, it's really reflective of what it's like when you're producing commercial music theatre or professional musicals in any capacity. It created an interesting and really fun and funny dynamic because suddenly we had other professional creatives in the room that were bouncing ideas off each other and stuff just got humorous, you know. It's wonderful, I think, for the students to see that that element of play does exist in professional theatre making, and it's not all serious. It can be a serious business, of course, but it was nice for them to see that we actually have a lot of fun with each other, and that's allowed, you know. So this is actually my first directorial venture for a music theatre showcase. I'm usually in the accompanist's chair or, you know, on the podium as the conductor of any musical or music theatre showcase. So this has been a wonderful opportunity for me, but it is a hard balance to strike when you've spent a year with a student body as a teacher and then you are moving into a space where we have a performance outcome. Much more than just the learning outcomes. But I think the thing that both of those roles have in common, that I found that they have in common, is every day I come in striving to inspire and motivate them. That's the biggest challenge at times, is to keep them inspired about the work, especially when you've looked at material for a significant amount of time. And, you know, as I mentioned, they've been learning parts of this material anyway for a very long time. All year they've been doing this deep dive into the architecture of the music and the lyric and the storytelling. So they have a deep understanding about how that's put together, but then moving the goalposts a bit and the expectations out of the learning into performance outcome. We're met with new challenges that we are not faced with in a classroom environment, you know. We have a wonderful soundstage here at Waterloo Studios, and For the students, it's their first time singing acoustically in an environment like this that is mic'd with overhead mics, but that's a very different experience to wig mics or, you know, a headset or even a handheld. That challenge is met with the need to keep them very positive and also teach at the same time as direct. And I think that can be quite tricky. Fellow directors in this kind of education space will know what I'm referring to by the challenges inherently within that of needing to teach while also have that performance outcome. That, I think, is the biggest challenge. But I've found the whole process very, very rewarding, and the students, because they are so positive and motivated and really want to do the best work, it is a pleasure to come in and push them to deliver that. This is something I've spoken with other tutors who work here about as well, and there's a universal agreement here that we do this for the love of it here, especially, you know. This is a very special school. I also work at a lot of other institutes that are all fantastic, but there is definitely something pretty unique and special about Waterloo Studios. With the music theatre department in particular, we're afforded different kinds of infrastructure that I've not seen in other institutes, which is really rewarding. There's a lot of attention to screen work and being on camera. That's going to be really, really helpful for our student body moving into this next generation of music theatre productions and content creation, needing to do self-tapes, learning how to be on camera. There's no better place to learn that than at a film school, you know. My favourite part of the showcase is our finale. It's a song called Relativity, which is from a new musical called The Theory of Relativity. It is a beautiful, beautiful song, and I think it's really special to see the kids perform it after this year. It was one of the first songs that they learnt that is at this particular musical level. It's a bit more complex harmonically than what they were used to at the start of the year. So they've connected with it the most. And I think that's really special in the teaching experience, to give a plethora of material to students, and then they do a lot of the work for you as a director, because you can identify what they're connecting with and what they're not, you know. And that was part of this showcase too, was putting together certain pieces that I'm like, it's a great piece of music, it might even be one of my favorites, but they weren't connecting with it. And I went, well, if they're not going to connect with it, that will resonate, you know. So we cut it. But Relativity, thankfully, because it's one of my favorite songs, they've really connected with it. They sing it beautifully, and you can feel the collective love that they have for each other as a unit when they perform it.